Channel 1 as we unpack elections 2022 with the various stakeholders. Make informed electoral decisions.
He served in the Kenyan military for close to half a century.
Gentlemen, I see you have very good AK-47. Weapons are no longer to be shot to kill another Liberian.
Leading some of the most volatile peacekeeping operations in Africa.
I still do a little bit of sharing my experiences on peacekeeping.
Lieutenant General retired Daniel Opande on the Military Tales. This Tuesday with Nisi Imano.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, si uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We!
Quick cover na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose,
Yes.
hata nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
All right, there you are. It's the 10th day of May. Tonight, party defections, running mate interviews, insecurity, plus a 360-degree look at events that shaped the news tonight on KBC Prime.
And it's going to be a very different election.
Well, certainly yes. CS in charge of security, Matiang'i, questions the source of funding for politicians and fears that black money could be in circulation.
Plus tonight on the premiere episode of the Military Tales, we bring you the story of the Lieutenant General Daniel Opande.
All that coming up. But first things first, our top stories.
If we are not very careful as a country, we're going to launder into elective institutions, drug dealers, criminals of unprecedented standards. They are all going to be in our elective institutions.
Money laundering? Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i questions source of campaign funding by politicians.
Our reason to come to Kenya Kwanza is driven by the desire to finally find a solution to the problems facing our people.
Another catch for UDA. Outgoing Kilifi governor finds a new home.
And I want to tell you that the decision to come was my decision because I realized we didn't want to give anybody an excuse whatsoever to say aligomea kuja.
I stand counted. Kalonzo Musyoka appears for Azimio's running mate interviews. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Mboya.
And I'm Purity Museo at KBC Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo at Mboya24. Use the hashtag Prime Edition to interact with us.
Our top story tonight, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has questioned the source of funding for some of the top politicians in the country a few months to the general election.
Dr. Matiang'i says that money launderers are taking advantage of the campaign period to manipulate the electoral process, calling for a multi-agency approach in taming the vice.
That's right, and Nancy Okware is the one who opens our coverage tonight with that report.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i was in Naivasha for the annual National Conference on Criminal Justice Reforms. It is here that the CS questioned the source of money by a section of the political class during the electioneering period.
We need to relook at the law and see how best we can support IBC and law enforcement agencies to enforce campaign financing regulations. Because the amount of money being spent in the campaigns out here is incredible and totally crazy. We are going to have an unprecedented case of voter bribery in Kenya during these elections.
The CS warned that the country risked a large number of criminals buying their way into elected office through money laundering, calling for a multi-sectoral approach in taming the vice.
If we are not very careful as a country, we're going to launder into elective institutions drug dealers, criminals of unprecedented standards. They are all going to be in our elective institutions. And when they arrive there, you know what they are going to do in terms of compromising the integrity of those institutions, that we will end up with up to 40% of holders of elective office being very well-known and established wash dealers, or the people on Mr. Kinodi's radar are the leading candidates in some constituencies and in some areas.
To secure the general election, the CS said at least 10,000 specialized officers had been mobilized and deployed under a multi-sectoral approach. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has assured Kenyans of free and fair elections, adding that the commission was set for the August 9th exercise.
It insisted that parties must then ensure that the lists they submit to us must be gender compliant. As of midnight last night, 78 political parties had complied out of 81. So we have 3 who are yet to comply.
During the annual conference on criminal justice, Chief Justice Martha Koome called for all agencies that are interlinked to uphold human rights even as they undertake their mandate.
Those of us who have been given the privilege and the responsibility of serving Kenyans in the justice sector do so with a human rights perspective, always asking ourselves if we were the ones who are the victims, or even who are the perpetrators, who are in the justice system, what would we expect?
The increasing cases of victim families decrying enforced disappearances, for example, and the River Yala situation is also evidence of a criminal justice system that is critically violating the rights of the accused. It is instances such as this that breed great distrust in criminal justice actors from the public.
Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Kilifi Governor Amos Kingi has officially joined Kenya Kwanza after ditching the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition.
Amason Kingi said his move came after soul-searching and the realization that the aspirations of the coastal people will not be addressed by the Azimio wing, which he claimed lacks honesty in the management of its affairs.
Well, the last term governor was received by Deputy President William Ruto, who promised to ensure that the coastal people get their rightful share of the national cake if he's elected into office. Here's that report.
On Tuesday morning, Kenya Kwanza Alliance received another addition to its folds. The Pamoja Africa Alliance party led by Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi was joining the outfit after quitting the Raila Odinga-led Azimio formation. Kingi stating that after undertaking an analysis, he had realized that the aspiration and desires of the Kenya Kwanza coalition were resonating more with the people of the coast.
Our reason to come to Kenya Kwanza is driven by the desire to finally find a solution to the problems facing our people.
The last-term governor saying his move was not attached to any position, but for the people of the coastal region to get justice and a rightful share of their contribution to the national cake.
These issues are not just a promise. They are commitment. It is a covenant between Kenya Kwanza and the people of Coast.
Kenya Kwanza with our captain, William Samoei Ruto, have no history of betraying people at any level in our country.
You have done something that you may not know the full impact yet, but you have said no to the politics of hostage taking.
Deputy President William Ruto, who received the team, assured them of his unwavering support for the decision that they have taken, promising to ensure that his administration, once elected, will address historical land injustices and equitable representation among many other challenges facing the region.
The issues they have brought to the table on matters to do with the land, on matters to do with the economy of the coast region, are matters that we have not only agreed, but we have made as a commitment by Kenya Kwanza.
On his running mate, the Deputy President urged Kenyans to be patient as there was still time.
Our issue of the running mate is the easiest of the issues that are on our table. The issues that exercise our minds, the issues that give us sleepless nights, are the people issues. We will have our running mate forwarded to the IEBC before the deadline.
Very well. Amason Kingi, and not Amos Kingi, as I'd mentioned earlier there, officially joining Kenya Kwanza after ditching the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition. Now let's move on to that Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance story. The presidential nominee Raila Amolo Odinga has announced a raft of plans to streamline the informal sector if he's elected the president in the August 9th general election.
According to the former premier, a majority of those working in the sector are often duped into accepting meager payments despite their unmatched skills due to lack of proper academic credentials.
Well, Raila says that under his government he plans to adopt a policy for recognition of prior learning that rewards individual skills. Here's that report.
It was during a press conference held at his current residence in Nairobi County Tuesday that Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga stated his plans to streamline the informal sector, which he terms as the largest job creator.
At last check, the Juakali sector employed more than 16 million Kenyans and contributed more than 34% of our GDP. I acknowledge that the dream for a coherent and formal approach to this otherwise critical sector got deferred, but it is not dead. I am here to announce the rebirth of this dream.
Despite the gains, Raila claims that thousands of those working in the sector are often duped into accepting peanuts because they lack the required academic credentials.
Our furniture makers at various Juakali points across the country, like for example Ngong Road, we all agree they make great furniture. But many of them have to go through brokers to reach the high-end market where their products are sold at very high prices, while the makers earn peanuts. Every day, thousands of people flock garages where mechanics with excellent skills correctly diagnose the problem and do satisfactory work, but get very little pay due to lack of certification.
Raila said if elected president, he plans to adopt a policy for recognition of prior learning, which seeks to remove middlemen and brokers who take advantage of the vulnerabilities of millions of workers in the informal sector, among other reforms.
The RPL provides for recognition of knowledge, skills and competencies, regardless of where and how they were acquired. It is a progression map to facilitate the transition of skilled workers from informality to formality. In other words, these people may not have gone to any technical training institute or college, but through practice they've acquired the knowledge which needs to be recognized.
For Prime Edition, I'm Safin Acheng Oma.
Wiper Party leader Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka appeared before the selection panel interviewing candidates for the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Alliance running mate.
Kalonzo sought to explain that he made the U-turn so that his initial stand of not honoring the interview is not used against his quest to be Raila Odinga's running mate.
Kalonzo was among 5 candidates who faced the Noah Wekesa selection panel Tuesday. Irene Muchuma reports.
Kuna watu kwa hiyo komiti wanasema hiki na kile sijui nini imefanyika, hawa hajui Kenya, waende wapumzike, waachie Uhuru na mimi na Raila mambo haya.
The uncertainty these remarks had caused, however, dissipated as the Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka made a U-turn on Tuesday and appeared before the Azimio running mate selection panel at 9 a.m. in the morning. After a 1 hour, 45-minute closed-door meeting, Kalonzo emerged saying the process was conversational and explained the reason for his change of heart.
The decision to come was my decision because I realized we didn't want to give anybody an excuse whatsoever to say aligomea kuja.
Former Gatanga Member of Parliament Peter Kenneth exuded confidence of clinching the post but maintained he will remain in the coalition should things not go his way.
In the unlikely event that I'm not the one fronted, I still remain in Azimio and give my full support as I've given before. And that is what it is. That's where I belong.
Sentiments shared by politicians Stephen Tarus, who also appeared before the Noah Wekesa-led panel.
The names that we have had before are common names. But I think with the candidature of Raila Amolo Odinga, he needs a fresh blood. He needs fresh minds.
Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu also faced the panel and vouched for a woman running mate, saying the women vote was up for grabs.
I have great networks inside Kenya and outside Kenya. I have to bring the women together, which I can do, and it's a vote that has not been captured as yet. The youth vote seems to be going the other side, but the women vote, they're still waiting to see and to hear what we are telling them is going to happen.
Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya was the last candidate to face the panel Tuesday as it wound up the exercise. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
The Kenya Kwanza Alliance has warned Kenyans to be wary of a section of political class keen on ascending to power through deceit.
Led by Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, the leaders urged voters to make informed choices in the ballot.
The Kenya Kwanza Brigade Tuesday toured Ukambani, as JJ Kioria reports.
Kenya Kwanza! Kenya Kwanza!
The Kenya Kwanza team was in Tala, Machakos County, this time bolstered by the presence of the newly signed member, Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua. And with the controversy surrounding the exit of Governors Mutua and Amason Kingi from Azimio still rife, Deputy President William Ruto and his brigade were elated by their entrance.
Earthquake!
Ruto warned Kenyans to be wary of politicians keen on ascending to power through blackmail. Ruto says such leaders are capable of reneging on their promises to Kenyans.
Kama mtu anaweza kutapeli viongozi na kuwaambia uongo na kuwafanyia ukora, si watawahangaisha nyinyi wananchi na kuwafanya watumwa wao? Ni kweli ama si kweli?
The leaders claiming their opponents were twisting some political parties to sign agreements shrouded in mystery.
Surely, in the 21st century, how can anybody blindfold leaders that you can sign an agreement that you have no copy, that nobody can give you access, and you want to be in a political coalition? Sio ni utapeli. Yani wanatuambia hawajui Kalonzo ashakuwa vice president Kenya hii. Ati wanaenda kujificha nyuma ya watu, wanafinya remote, wanadanganya ati wanafanya interview na ni remote.
Kalonzo alikuwa vice president wa Kibaki. 2013 Kalonzo alikuwa running mate wa Raila. 2017 Kalonzo alikuwa running mate wa Raila. Nyenye niambie ati leo hii wanapeleka Kalonzo kusimama kwa line na Sabina Chege kufanyishwa interview.
Wakati unamtongoza msichana, si wakati huo ndio unakuwa mzuri sana, si ndio? Wanapaswa kuwa wanatongoza ndio tuwaitishie kura.
They rallied area residents to support the coalition and give it an emphatic win in the general election to be held in 90 days, claiming they are keen on improving the economic welfare of all.
Wakati bwana Kitendawili alikuwa prime minister, kazi yake hapa Machakos iko wapi? Kazi ya Kitendawili hapa Machakos iko wapi? Kuna barabara amejenga? Kuna stima amepanga?
This being the first public rally after Alfred Mutua ditched the Azimio la Umoja for Kenya Kwanza. The Kenya Kwanza forces were storming Kalonzo Musyoka's backyard of Machakos, calling on area residents to support their bid for presidency and reject Azimio, which they claim is a coalition of deceitful politicians. John Jacob Kuria, Prime Edition.
From Machakos, we come back to Nairobi, broadcasting us for our first break on KBC Prime.
Absolutely, and when we return, we have plenty more coming up, including our premiere episode of Military Tales. Tonight, we give you the story of Lieutenant General Daniel Opande. Stay tuned for that.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Kupata weka imani kama skiza tune kwenye simu yako, dial *811*759#.
Jameni, yani kuna watu wanapitianga mambo. Wacha vile sisi tunaonanga mambo kitoko kitoko. Kuna watu wamepitia mambo makubwa. Fikiria kuhusu Job. Akapoteza mifugo, akapoteza mimea, watoto wake, na bado akasimama na Mungu. Hata wewe, weka imani. Usiwache Mungu.
Ili kupata weka imani, dial *811*759#. *811*759#.
Our arts and entertainment industry has evolved over the years.
It is at such times that our destinies are written. Will we rise up in courage or die in cowardice?
Who are the movers and shakers in film and theatre? Get trendy as we review locally produced films and stage drama every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Cinemas and Theatre.
Brought to you by the Kenya Film Commission. Film Kenya, Capture Africa.
Welcome back. Now, residents of Rabur area in Kadibo sub-county, that's in Kisumu County, they are up in arms over runaway insecurity, which has seen at least 5 people hospitalized owing to attacks.
The residents are accusing the local police of laxity to address the issue, which they say has worsened in the last 2 weeks.
Wycliffe Okech reports.
Nilipata jana kwa yetu nikapiga simu. So mimi nilikuwa nadhani ni watu wanapita na pikipiki, nikaamua kuwaachia njia wapite. So venye nilikuwa nimegeuza mgongo wangu hivi, nikashtuka wamembeba na shoka, nikaanguka chini.
Brian Odhiambo is the latest victim in a spate of insecurity in Rabor area of Kadibo Sub-County, Kisumu County, where at least 5 people have been hospitalized following attacks by unknown assailants. On Tuesday, a section of the residents stormed Rabor police station demanding the transfer of the station's OCS Wycliffe Kwendo, whom they accused of sleeping on the job.
Tuko na uchungu mwingi sana. Kufika Saturday, shemeji yangu alikatwa. Na on the same day, walikatwa vijana wawili. Na vile tulikuja hapa kuita OCS, aje aone ni shida gani tuko nayo. Alichukua almost 1 hour ndio afike kwa scene.
Tumeza kuwa na insecurity mingi hapa. Kukata kuizi. Na mula akisika mtu hapa, amependa Kenya inaitwa soya. Amependa pesa ongo.
Lakini ikikuwa ni watu wa pombe wakitoka na pombe ni pikipiki na mtungi ya pombe wanafuata ile mbio na anavuta sigara hata tuheshimu sisi wananchi.
The residents claim that individuals terrorizing the area are well known, but the security apparatus in the vicinity is not doing anything to apprehend them. And while Kadibo Sub-County Deputy County Commissioner Angeline Nwere urges for calm and promising redress, the irate residents, however, want the OCS transferred.
Sasa sisi kama watu wa Rabur tunasema either OCS awe sacked or awe transferred aende kwingine.
My message to Mr. Matiang'i, the Minister of Interior and Coordination in this country, that he should come to the ground. He should come to the ground to see what is happening in Kadibo area.
We are going to come up with a work plan of operations. We have already mapped most of the hotspots, and some of them, one of them is the Masogo. The only thing I really want to urge the public is to ensure that I can't really want to request them to share any information that they do have.
For Prime Edition, I am Wycliffe Okech.
From insecurity, let's see how the corridors of justice looks like. The Political Parties Disputes Tribunal has thrown out an application by Maendeleo Chap Party seeking to withdraw from Azimio One Kenya Coalition Party.
The court says Dr. Alfred Mutua-led party should have sought internal dispute resolution mechanisms before heading to the tribunal.
This and more from the courts.
Barely a day after Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua led his party Maendeleo Chap out of Azimio One Kenya Coalition to join Kenya Kwanza Coalition, the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal chaired by Desmond Nungo has dismissed the application to leave the Raila Odinga-led outfit. The application was thrown out on grounds that Maendeleo Chap should have sought internal alternative dispute resolution mechanisms before heading to the tribunal. Meanwhile, the appeal hearing of Sirisia Member of Parliament John Waluke and his co-accused Grace Wahungu, who were convicted to 67 years in jail over corruption charges, has kicked off before Justice Esther Maina. In the appeal, the defense lawyers led by Senior Counsel Paul Muite punched holes into the judgment delivered previously, citing crucial evidence that was left out.
Why the maize was not imported in accordance with the contract is because it was an express term of the contract that the National Cereals Board would avail to errant supplies letters of credit to enable the importation.
Elsewhere, the probe into the murder of Monica Kimani continued on Tuesday morning before Justice Nzioka. Adata analyst Corporal Limo was put to the stand for cross-examination on the last details found on Monica's phone. Only 2 witnesses who are cybercrime officers are remaining to testify on the 14th and 16th this month. Finally, a former Facebook moderator has filed a petition against Meta platforms.
Those kind of working conditions are what we are saying are tantamount to modern slavery. Those of them who have come from other countries and were recruited using this deceit, they've been trafficked. They are in Kenya without willing to perform the job they're being made to do.
Alleging poor working conditions as they seek equal pay and psychosocial support. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
Now, the Kikuyu Council of Elders has endorsed NARC Kenya Party leader Martha Karua for Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance deputy presidential candidate.
Elsewhere, Migori Governor Okoth Obado has thrown his weight behind Kenya Kwanza flag bearer Deputy President Dr. William Ruto in the August polls, terming him the people's choice.
Zainab Said reports.
As the interviews to get Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance running mate entered day 2, the Kikuyu Council of Elders have backed NARC Kenya Party leader Martha Karua's quest for the position.
Martha Karua tunajua katika historia ya kupigania demokrasia na human rights, yeye anatosha. Ni kweli ama ni ulongo? Tukiangalia mambo ya zero tolerance to corruption, yeye amepigana na ufisadi.
In Migori County, Governor Okoth Obado has declared his support for Deputy President William Ruto, speaking at Karamu grounds in Kuria West constituency when he distributed 189 dairy cows to farming groups in the county. Obado cited irregularities in the ODM party primaries.
Uongo na porojo haita kupeleka mahali. Sisi kama Wakenya tunataka amani, sio dhuluma.
Elsewhere, all is set for the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Vihiga tour next week. Governor Wilbur Otichilo stated that Vihiga is an Orange Democratic Party stronghold.
Na tumekubaliana kwamba tutafanya kazi pamoja ili tuone kwamba party leader wetu ambaye pia ni presidential candidate wetu anapata kura hapa Vihiga kwa wingi sana. Tumekubaliana kwamba zote tutafanya kazi pamoja ili tuone kwamba tunapata ushindi.
And a section of leaders and businessmen from Mandera have endorsed former County Commissioner Hassan Nur Hassan's gubernatorial seat in the county.
We have issues of drought that is perennial and affects livestock and human beings. We have issues of lack of proper medical care. We have issues of insecurity that has made our area not to develop at all. We have lost an entire stretch of land between Kuturo and Mandera on the border of Somalia to insecurity. This team, combined together with the senator, the women rep, the MPs, all the MCAs combined, inshallah will bring change, will bring peace to the people of Mandera. Mandera people should feel that this is an all-inclusive government. It's going to include all communities. Nobody will be left out.
Tunataka serikali ambayo ni all-inclusive, serikali ambayo ni, responsible to citizen, amana serikali ambayo itakuwa responsible to subcontractors, some cartels, hatutaki. Mama hatutaki. We want tenders that are advertised to be genuine tenders. We want procurement to be done properly so that, we get our hospitals working, our roads functioning, our water supplies functioning, our livestock industry functioning, our youth and women get proper jobs so that, we can be able to sustain the industry.
For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Two people have been murdered in separate incidents in the senior town of Kajiado County in the wake of rampant insecurity in the otherwise sleepy town.
So far, no arrests have been made. More of this in the County News Roundup.
In the first incident, a night guard of a local hotel in a senior town was hacked to death by unknown assailants before they stole property of unknown value. Some of the stolen items were later discovered hidden in a nearby forest. The second incident involved a middle-aged boda rider whose body was found in the morning in a ditch in a pool of blood. Locals have decried rampant insecurity, accusing police officers of laxity.
Sababu unapata maaskari wa hapa Isenya wako kwa mabarabara, ni kama huko ndio kuna security, wanaangalia vitu wa makendo ile inaingia huko Isenya. Hakuna kazi wanafanya, wanaanza kuinda watu wa makaa kama ni wezi. anakimbizana huku vichakani. Kwa hivyo waangalie Isinya, waangalie security, waache na kukimbishana ule mtu anajitafutia.
Kama inawezekana security kuanzia saa 6 ama saa 5 wawe na patrol ndio tuweze kulinda hii mji wetu wa Isinya.
Shock and grief have rocked Kakamega County following a series of brutal acts in the region. Robina Bulai, a mother, and her 5-year-old son nursing serious burns after their house was set on fire by unknown assailants. According to area residents, the suspect of the heinous act is another lady whom they share a husband with.
Mama huyu, kuna watu ambao hawajulikani walibomoa dirisha moja, wakamwaga ndani petrol, wakawasha kiberiti, na mama alikuwa analala na watoto wake kwa nyumba, watoto wawili.
Hii familia ilikuwa na msosa hapa karibu kweli, vita vikali. Hata huyu mwanamke alipomolewa milango tena wakakuja wakarutisha.
Still in Kakamega, a 23-year-old woman from Molonyo village is nursing serious injuries after she was allegedly attacked by her husband following a family dispute. The husband, Ibrahim Ombete, is said to have introduced another woman in their marriage, leading subsequently the heinous act.
Kwa toka juu, alileta mwanamke mwingine kwa nyumba. Nikamwambia, mimi siwezi kaa hapa kwa nyumba na mwanamke mwenzangu.
This is a family from Shienyo Ward, Lurambi, Kakamega appeals for help from the government and well-wishers to help transport the body of their 32-year-old daughter who died while in Saudi Arabia. The daughter is said to have collapsed and died out of seeing a picture of her mother appealing for financial aid to treat a wound on her foot.
Geomba tuombe Lydia, Mungu afungue njia, tulete mwili yake, tufanye nini? Tuzike. Kwa hivyo ninalia, ninaomba serikali yetu ya Kenya, embassy ya Nairobi, embassy ya Saudia na wadhamini wote.
In Makueni, members of the county government have appointed the First Lady of the county, Nazi Kibwana, as the patron of the Makueni County Reproductive Health and Family Planning Program. This was after the Assembly vetted and endorsed the report of the Committee on Devolution and Public Service.
Speaker, it's my view that the Assembly should be given the freedom to see her as it wants to give her, because she's before this Assembly to be debated in the person of her character, in the person of her qualifications, in the person of what she has been able to do, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, anyway, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Finally, residents of Mavoloni in Dalani, Yatta Sub-County in Machakos County are at loggerheads with a private developer who allegedly grabbed a mountain in the area to run a quarry and evicted squatters living there.
Wale watu ambao walifukuzwa kwa hii mlima waweze kupatiwa mahali ambapo wanaweza kuishi, mahali wanaweza kulima, ama kama sio hivyo warudishwe mahali walikuwa wanaishi kwenye mlima.
Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
Asante. Hii ng'ombe itatoa maziwa mengi kabisa. Sasa shida ya school fees imeisha tena. Chukua hii. Hebu nikuulize, hii maneno unasikia ya bima ya elimu inaweza kuonekana mtu ana process ya kuchukua insurance kapa yote ni rahisi. Hata niko na kapa ya gari yangu. Kwanza unajaza proposal form kama hii na uijaze wewe mwenyewe. Na kama haujui kusoma, uijaze na mtu mwingine. Hakikisha ile majibu umepatiana ni sahihi na ni ya kweli. Pia thibitisha insurance cover imeangalia maslahi yako. Na usiwahi sign proposal form ambayo haijaandikwa kitu chochote. Pia ukumbuke kujitolea photocopy yako. Sasa wacha nianze hiyo process. By the way, ukisubmit hiyo proposal form, uhakikishe umepatiwa policy document. Uisome na uielewe. Hiyo ndio dhibitisho ya kuwa unapiva.
as campaign intensifies for the upcoming general election. What does all this mean for you, the voter? What do the candidates have to offer? How prepared are agencies charged with the election process? Join John Kuria and Safina Chieng on Kenya Decides. This and every Tuesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 as we unpack elections 2022 with a panel of various stakeholders. Make informed electoral decisions.
Well, on to that feature story that we had headlined for you a little earlier on. Lieutenant General Daniel Ishmael Opande is not only a Kenyan hero, but a military officer honored in Africa.
Opande served in the Kenyan military for a close to half a century, and his unparalleled bravery, courage and resilience towards the restoration of peace around Africa is commendable.
Well, our features reporter Nisi Imano had a sit-down with a retired general. And this is his story in the premiere episode of Military Tales.
A pleasant November afternoon, the year 2021. What an opportunity to meet and have a conversation with retired Lieutenant General Daniel Ishmael Opande at his Nairobi residence. Lieutenant General Daniel Opande is not only a Kenyan hero, but an honored military officer in Africa who has served in the Kenyan military for over 42 years. His unparalleled bravery, courage and resilience towards the restoration of peace around Africa is on record. We get down to the business of the day with a glimpse of his early life.
Normal childhood in the rural area of Kenya, in South Nyanza. I looked after the cows sometimes. And after that, I went to school. I have 4 children, 2 daughters and 3 sons, and several grandchildren now.
Whether by a twist of fate or destiny, Opande joins the military.
My close members of the family, especially Dad, did not want any of his children to be in the military. So I didn't have really any inkling that I would be in the military, but I eventually ended up there.
He was appointed as the commander of the UN Security Force and head of security forces by the UN Security Council in Sierra Leone in 2000 and 2003.
Sierra Leone was the largest then peacekeeping mission that the United Nations had established, and I landed there as the force commander.
He was head of the security forces not just in Sierra Leone, but also in Liberia between 2003 to 2005, leading disarmament exercises.
And when peace returned there, then Kofi Annan asked me to move over to Liberia as in the same capacity.
Between 1990 and 1993, he was in Liberia as a UN Chief Military Observer. Here, he encountered the largest rebel group under Charles Taylor. A few years later, he returned only to be appointed as the commander of the UN missions in Sierra Leone, commanding the largest peacekeeping military force under the UN to be deployed. Despite the myriad of challenges out in the battlefield, General Opande did everything to ensure the comfort of his troops and the Liberian people who were under his command.
They're not hiding weapons. No more weapons. Are you sure? Yes.
He believed that all people are human, regardless of their positions. From 2003 to 2005, Lieutenant General Daniel Opande was the force commander of the peacekeepers of the UN mission in Liberia. Tough but diplomatic, the Kenyan Defense Forces officer in 2004 got the commanders of Liberia's warring factions to agree to the disarmament of more than 100,000 former combatants. The United Nations military also provided security, technical and logistical support for the electoral process that culminated in peaceful democratic elections in 2005. It was this protective fatherly approach to the war-torn zones that saw him earn the title the African Father and saw many Liberian children named after him.
People would tell me, or they themselves, they would tell me, Pape, they call me Pape. Pape is a father, a recognized father.
After 14 years, through the disarmament process, Opande brought peace back to a country that was once virtually ruled by AK-47s. The Liberian child soldiers were able to go back to school and to embrace normal life. Closer home, his notable highlights include his role in Kenya's shifter campaign of the 1960s.
After graduating, from the cadets, training school in the UK, I came back. Straight away, we were sent to the northeastern province because there was, this shifter war. So that is where I first experienced, being in the military, the real military.
Beyond active military service, General Opande has occasionally mediated conflicts, among them post-2007, 2013 and 2017 election crisis in Kenya and the aftermath of the 2015 upheavals in South Sudan.
All those elections that have taken place since 2007, we have done our bit. Sometimes we are not, very visible.
He has also documented his vast experiences in his autobiography, In Pursuit of Peace in Africa.
I believe that those experiences, if I don't put them, down, they will just dissipate with me.
True.
I also do, a lecture, around either within the country here and outside the country. I still do a little bit of sharing my experiences on peacekeeping with various organizations like IGAD and the others. I lecture in the International Peace Support, Center. So I'm still sharing my knowledge with people.
Yes.
So, good health.
Yes, good health. And peace.
And peace.
Yes.
And peace, peace, peace.
And peace. General Opande is a celebrated military icon who has worn many hats over the years. Even in retirement, he continues to champion for global peace, mediating conflict within and without. Reporting for KBC from Kileleshwa in Nairobi County, I'm Nisi Imano.
Wow. Stellar military career, I must say. Yeah.
Looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah. The soldier who preaches peace. Did a lot of work, by the way, around the 2007 post-election violence. Yeah. Brought those two sides together. All right, let's cross over to Norfolk. Safina Chieng is on standby. Remember today, it's your favorite interactive show, Kenya Decides. What should we expect, Safin?
Thank you so much, Purity Museo and Mboya back there at the Broadcasting House. We are coming to you live from Fairmont, the Norfolk Hotel at the heart of Kenya's capital, Nairobi, for yet another episode of Kenya Decides. Tonight, just less than 90 days to the August polls, we are going to be looking at the issue of electoral integrity. We know that right now, as the clock continues to tick, so is the campaign trail as it increasingly continues to get get packed with heightened activities as political players take their charm offensive to different parts of the country. Keen to notice that on the list of those vying for different political seats, we have leaders with questionable integrity issues, those who have questionable integrity backgrounds. And of course, tonight, that is what we want to look at. What is electoral integrity? And of course, also, I'll be engaging a panel of 3 gentlemen: Museo, the National Coordinator of the Elections Observation Group, Derek Mahandia, who is a Senior Regional Officer at Transparency International Kenya, and also Wilfred Muliro, a governance expert. Among the key issues I'll be seeking to find out from these gentlemen is what is the effectiveness of the application of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity, and pieces of legislation such as the Leadership and Integrity Act that we have in our country to guide us on what integrity means in the context of leadership, among other issues that will be pivotal in helping Kenyans make informed decisions when it comes to electing that leader who is going to serve them in the next 5 years. So that coming up in just a bit right here from the Fairmont, the Norfolk Hotel. But for now, I hand it over back to you, Purity and Tom.
Thank you, Safin, and I'm looking forward. I hope she can also touch on the issue that the CS for Internal Security has raised about the black money being in circulation.
And what is electoral integrity? Yeah.
Because it borders on that framework. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that Kenya Decides coming your way at exactly 10 p.m. with Safina Cheng Oma. We are looking forward to that.
Are we taking a break?
Maybe we can do some business news
together.
Right, that's right.
Do you wait for the montage or we go right ahead?
Right ahead.
Kenya Revenue Authority, I'm told you have to go right ahead or we take a short break?
Okay, and Kenya Revenue Authority has received the green light to continue collecting excise duty on the betting services after a High Court sitting in Machakos dismissed a petition challenging the imposition of 7.5% excise duty on the amount staked by gamers.
Oh, that's right. Justice Odunga held that there was sufficient public participation in enacting the law, adding that taxes need not look the same and that selective taxes may be applied to different sectors.
Kello and Cliff Odolo Mboya, and supported by bookmakers Betika, Mozartbet, Odibet and Sport Pesa against the National Assembly, Attorney General and the Kenya Revenue Authority. The petitioners argued that they lawfully engage in betting using mobile phone platforms provided by mobile phone service providers supported by the bookmakers. The petitioners contended that the introduction of the excise duty of 7.5% on deposits amount staked or wagered would in essence tax a player just for having money and being a player and taking a risk and without effectively consuming the services which is being purchased. The petitioners challenged the constitutionality requiring payment of excise duty on the amount staked, arguing that it was discriminatory and the same amount to arbitrary deprivation of their property or investment. The National Assembly responded to the petition, stating that it adhered to legal requirements for enactment of the Constitution and that there was no reason given by the petitioners to warrant interference by the court. It was also its position that collection of taxes through the procedures provided by the law cannot constitute an arbitrary deprivation of property. The court, in its judgment, narrowed the issue down to the constitutionality of the statutory provision. The court found that the National Assembly has the constitutional authority to enact the legislation and that the petitioners had failed to table evidence to demonstrate the unconstitutionality of contested legal provisions. In dismissing the petition, Justice Kora Odunga ruled that there was sufficient public participation in enacting the law. Justice Odunga ruled, and I quote, "In this case, however, I have found that the levy of excise duty on stakes is proper and lawful. In any case, once a punter stakes a bet, unless the bet is postponed or cancelled, he loses property over his estate, even if he loses the bet." End of quote. Caroline Jenga for Prime Edition.
Our feasibility study for the Nyamira Integrated Agro-Industrial Park has been validated, paving way for the groundbreaking facility that will enhance value addition as well as provide market for the readily available raw material.
Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development Ministry Secretary Ezekiel Okeo said the industrial park, which is part of the program for country partnerships, aims to stimulate manufacturing activities in rural areas and create about 6,000 job opportunities.
Here's that report.
The Nyamira Integrated Agro-Industrial Park is projected to be constructed on a 265-acre piece of land at Sironga, Nyamira County, sponsored by the government and development partners, led by United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Feasibility study for the project has been completed and was validated during a workshop held in Nyamira County, where speakers noted that the project under the Kenya Self-Starter Initiative Program for County Partnership will supplement the government's efforts in industrializing the country.
We are putting basic infrastructure to make sure that things that the investments require are. But the investments are not going to be done by government. Therefore, for now, we are doing the preparatory work that is required to prepare the site and market it. Then investors should come. So those are the things we are doing together with UNIDO and the development partners. We have brought the government of China on board. That has already sponsored us through the feasibility study, and we are moving on. So as we go on, we will find.
Thing that can be done in 3 years, it can be done in 5 years. It's all dependent on the availability and access to the resources that are required to drive it forward.
The industrial park that is expected to be constructed within 5 years is backed to offer a ready market for agricultural produce from the southern Nyanza region for value addition and drive Kenya's manufacturing agenda.
To value addition, to start from the list in the design of this project, which are 5 counties, doing aggregation, sorting, making sure that product quality are there, cleaning. Then we have the 3 levels, Rural Transformation Center. Further, the value addition comes, SMEs are integrated. We are looking at Nyamira Park to be very, very high level.
The project will see establishment of rural information centers, small and medium enterprises, and offer training for farmers to prop up the manufacturing of high quality products.
The farmers is that they will be having training centers and their productivity will improve through the training, and their produce will nearly double the incomes. That's the basic issue.
The national and Nyamira County government will provide the prerequisite support structures to attract investors and facilitate a smooth takeoff of the project.
Housing Finance Group made 39 million shillings in pre-tax profit during the first 3 months of this year, helped by lower loan provision, bouncing back to profitability from 178 million pre-tax loss that the financer recorded during a similar period last year.
The asset and financial services provider attributed the turnaround to business transformation strategies and a focus on growing its SMEs and retail banking proposition.
The World Bank in 2021 estimated that the Kenyan economy contracted by 5.7% during the second quarter of 2020, adding that COVID-19 saw non-performing loans in the banking sector increase to 13.6%. The reopening of the economy has stimulated businesses, helping reduce non-performing loans for Housing Finance Group, which lifted the firm's fortunes from loss-making to profitability.
We started our transformation journey about a couple of years ago, partly in the middle of the pandemic, and we had a very clear strategy, which is a transformation strategy, which involved then us de-risking ourselves from single sector concentration, still retaining our mortgage heritage, but also building what we are calling engines of growth.
HF Group has reported a 10% growth in net interest income to reach 520.1 million shillings, while non-performing loans reduced by 20%.
Now, all these added together has seen our income grow significantly by about 27% over the period, mainly driven by non-funded income, 87% growth, and the investment income, about 23% growth. And then, of course, we are putting a lot of emphasis on the reduction of costs, So our costs have gone down by about 7%.
This even as some investors employ a wait-and-see stance due to upcoming general elections. Lanauko, Prime Edition.
Well, before we usher in Karen Kibet with the day sports, there's an item here favorable for the SME sector. Equity Group has received a 19 billion shilling credit facility from the International Finance Corporation that will be channeled to supporting micro, small and medium-sized businesses under its Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan.
Equity Group targets to finance at least 5 million SMEs and 25 million households to create about 50 million direct and indirect jobs in the 7 countries it has operations.
Here's that report.
Equity's Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan has identified 5 pillars, among them increasing agricultural productivity, the extractive sector, trade and mainstreaming MSMEs as catalysts to economic recovery post-COVID-19, as well as green energy funding.
What traditionally would be called dirty energy. We try to avoid dirty energy. Why? Because we don't want to deal with it later. Why don't we deal with it upfront? And to give the alternative to ensure that that is not the constraint, that is why financing of clean energy or green energy has been prioritized.
To support clean energy generation and use, the Equity Group has resolved not to fund any coal-related projects.
Hence, the whole approach of making sure that this partnership is anchored also on climate finance and resilience. Through these investments and technical assistance from IFC's climate advisory team, Equity is developing a strategy towards financing energy efficiency, renewable energy, green buildings, and climate-smart agribusiness.
IFC Vice President, Risk and Finance, Mohamed Gulad, said the plan was in line with IFC's strategy to help create jobs, respond to climate change, and leverage opportunities afforded by the digital economy.
It means that we have a solid base of financial shareholding. So if we combine the 2 shareholders, they now control 20%. So you could now confidently say we have acquired an anchor of financial, knowledgeable, financially able and competent shareholder base.
Based on what we've discussed and what we see our plan is, we think this might be something that is relevant. Let us look at it together to see how we can customize this idea that is successful elsewhere to the Marshall Plan, to the Africa Recovery and Resilience Plan.
Equity Group plans to leverage its regional footprint and financial capability to support MSMEs and drive their inclusion to form value chains, champion access to trade and investment opportunities, and promoting investment in agriculture and renewable energy businesses. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Now let's delve into Matter Sports. My name is Karen Kibet. On to some great news. Ian Kahinga bagged for Kenya its 2nd gold medal in the men's 1500 meters after clocking 3 minutes 55.54 seconds in the ongoing Summer Deaflympic Games in Brazil. In the women's 400 meters, Lynette Fuamba Nanjala managed a bronze in a time of 59.34 seconds.
Deaflympics debutant Ian Kahinga breezed to the tape for the gold in the 1500 meters race at the Sesi Centro Esportivo Athletics track in Brazil. Kahinga clocked 3 minutes 55.54 seconds ahead of Jaime Moga of Spain, who clocked 3 minutes 56.18, and Alexander Bley of Germany came in 3rd. Defending champion in the race, John Quach, did not compete as he has opted for the men's 800 meters contest. Lynette Fuamba Nanjala secured the bronze medal in the 400 meters event in a time of 59.34 seconds, with Kristina Kiniakina of Ukraine bagging the gold. Kenya's national women's deaf football team was eliminated from the tournament without registering a victory. In their last match of the competition, Kenya was hammered 13-0 to the USA after having registered losses against Japan, Brazil and Poland respectively earlier on. So far, Kenya has a total of 9 medals, 2 gold, 3 silver and 4 bronze at the ongoing 24th edition of the Summer Deaflympic Games in Caxias do Sul, Brazil. For sports, I'm Nora Mongi.
Thank you, Nora, for that report. Moving on, the FKF Caretaker Committee, mandated to run footballing activities since the disbandment of FKF Executive Committee by the government 6 months ago, handed over its report to the Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, today on Tuesday with a raft of recommendations. The term of the Caretaker Committee came to an end today.
The committee took charge of the federation after its officials led by President Nick Mwendo were removed from office by the government due to alleged misappropriation of funds. The recommendations in the report that was handed over to CS Amina Mohammed included the amendment of the FKF Constitution to comply with the Constitution of Kenya and the Sports Act. The elections of officials be conducted in compliance with Kenya's Constitution. The Sports Registrar and the Federation to work together to ensure clubs and branches comply with the Sports Act and FIFA rules. The Federation adopts a transparent governance system that discloses information on its sources of funding, including funds from FIFA, government and donor agencies. FKF ensures leagues currently played by men are also played by women, and the government ensures that all sporting facilities used meet international standards.
The report handed over to me today has several recommendations that, if adopted, or maybe I should actually say when adopted, because we intend to adopt all these recommendations, will ensure alignment of FKF Constitution with the Constitution of the country, the Sports Act, and other statutory laws, including, of course, FIFA statutes. It will streamline operations at FKF, enhance transparency and accountability, ensure the growth of talent, professionalize the management of Kenyan football, and raise the standards of football in our country.
The committee was appointed on the 11th of November last year.
Kenyan boxer Lorna Kusa crashed out of the IABA Boxing World Championship in Istanbul, Turkey, after losing to Valentine of Kazakhstan in the lightweight bout. Kusa's exit was a big blow to the country due to her strong credentials. She headed into the competition with confidence after bagging silver at the Africa Zone 3 Boxing Championship.